Yo, what's going on? What is going on? Hope everybody's doing well. Just jumping in real quick, I wanted to clear up a question that I get asked a lot. Face to face, I get asked this question a decent amount. Definitely social media, I'm being asked this question a lot. And so I just want to make it clear. I just want to make a video to make my stance pretty clear about where I stand in this whole thing as pertains to the mandates. But before I do that, please go ahead and type 5. Let me know if you can see me and you can hear me just fine before I get started, so I can make sure that this thing is good. So just got done with my bike ride, amongst other things. But go ahead while typing 5 to let me know that you can see me and hear me. Also, let me know what you have done so far today to move your health in a positive direction. What have you done for yourself today as pertains to improving your health? All right, do that for me. Let me know. Did you walk, drink water, do exercise, did a 5-minute workout, you did a green smoothie, are you fasting? Let me know. Let me know what you've done so far to improve your health. All right. So Michelle says she worked out. Good, Michelle. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Lori, Lorenzo, what's going on? Rhonda, Shamika, what's going on? Zach, Ali, what's going on, Ali? What's going on? Zach, what's going on? Good, good, good. Yeah, so y'all keep on letting me know what you've done today thus far to improve your health, move your health in that direction, and also what you're going to be doing for the rest of the day. Ali says fasting. That's what I'm talking about. Shamika says treadmill and a hip workout. Good. Nice. Nice. What's going on, Viv? Lori says she's taking zinc, magnesium, vitamin D, and C. Good. Beautiful. Denise says water. That's what I'm talking about. Rhonda says always making healthy choices to fuel my body. Beautiful. Good. That's what I'm talking about. And that's what this thing is all about. I mean, a lot of what you all are saying right now, these are the reasons. These are just some of the reasons why I'm not with the mandates. So I get asked the question a lot. I mean, you understand what we're currently dealing with right now as pertains to the pandemic and the mandates that are being proposed and that are being tossed around. And when I get asked this question about why I'm against the mandates, very quickly in the conversation, it shifts. It shifts from being about the actual topic of the conversation, which is why I'm against mandates, to being something more so with, well, don't you want to do your part? And don't you think it's your job as a part of your profession to promote it? And don't you think that, don't you want to be a part of stopping the spread? It goes to that. So I quickly have to squash those arguments. And I'll do the same thing right now on this video. So one, me being against mandates, it's not synonymous with me wanting people to die. All right. And to make that connection is irrational. And I understand that a lot of people are irrational right now because you're afraid. And you have to understand that if you are working and you're operating off of fear, the lens of fear, you're going to see life in this world through a lens of irrationality. Therefore, a lot of the things that you're doing, the decisions that you're making for yourself, hey, good morning, what's going on? A lot of decisions that you're making may end up biting you in the rear or biting your children or other future generations in the rear. So let's go ahead and stop this misinformation as it pertains to this idea that vaccines actually stop the infection as well as the transmission. All right, because that's what's being used a lot when I'm confronted with this idea of me being against the mandates. So what we have to understand is that if you are still going around and saying that you should take the vaccine so that you don't infect other people, I need you to know that that is a lie. All right? By you getting the vaccine, you will still get infected. It's still possible for you to get infected. and it's also possible for you to spread it. All right. So from here on out, if you are still saying that, if you're still using that as an argument for why you believe I should be on board with the mandates, I want you to understand that you are building an argument off of a lie, and it makes me wonder about your true intentions. Okay, so let's not even go any further with that conversation as pertains to stopping infection and stopping transmission. That is a lie. All right, the CDC director has already come out and said that the reason why we need you to put the mask back on is because these vaccines, they don't stop you from getting infected, and they also don't stop the transmission. Okay, Fauci has also come out and also said and admitted that the same exact thing. It will not stop infection, nor will it stop the transmission. So we need to make sure that we have that part clear, and that you're not using that as a reason for why you think that other people should be getting it, because it's not true. So in other words, you are in the same status as pertains to infection and transmission as someone who is unvaccinated. All right. Next. Okay, and so that's been a large part of people's talking point when it comes to this is why you should be on board with the mandates. You should be on board with the mandates because that's how we're going to defeat this virus. The next thing is to know is that the experts don't even believe that this virus will ever go away. I don't believe it's ever going to go away. And the very people who have created the quote unquote hero vaccine, which is Pfizer, the very vaccine that has already been FDA approved, Comirnaty, not so much the BioNTech version, but they have said themselves that this pandemic is going to start to transition now into the phases of being endemic, meaning that it's always going to be around. And then they're also talking about how they're going to roll out the boosters on an annual basis. Fauci's talking about how this may be something you have to do on an annual basis. So when you hear that and you see that and you know that to be a fact, that the people who actually created the so-called hero vaccine are also saying that this is going to be an endemic, you have to understand and accept the fact that this is always going to be around. So your idea of squashing and ending this thing, once again, is based on a fantasy. It's not based in reality, because most experts understand that this is an endemic. This is going to be an endemic. Now, so there's no squashing. All right, there's no squashing. Sissy Britt. So I usually don't read the comments while I'm speaking because it takes me off track. But Sissy Britt says something, and I'm going to touch on that in a little bit. So while all of that is true, as far as the vaccines, not working as far as stopping you from getting infected and stopping you from transmitting it, that's true. At the same time, I am all for people doing what they want to do as it pertains to taking the vaccine or not taking the vaccine. Why? Because I'm freedom first. I'm freedom first. Like, I operate my basic operating system. And this is important for a lot of new people to know. And it's also important for a lot of people from the healthcare system who are asking me these questions to also understand. I'm freedom first, and I own my body. And that is my base operating system. I own my body. Whatever happens to me, happens to me. And at no point will you have to deal with the issues that I go through. And this actually stems from, so I have two grandmothers, right? I love them both dearly. And it's funny because they used to always say some very basic things that were always extremely profound. I mean, well, they were profound once I grew up. At the time, it wasn't profound. At the time, it was just it was just, you know, scary. But one grandmother, she hated the idea of us getting in trouble because of something somebody else told us to do, because we were following fashion or because we were following a friend. So when she would whoop our ass, it's a complete different type of beating when she's disciplining you for doing something that you decided to do on your own. It's different from you doing something because somebody else told you to do it, or you're doing something because everybody else is doing it. She has such a disdain because she understood that living a life of doing things because everybody else is doing it, or because this is what they're saying to do, and you are not independently thinking for yourself, will lead you down a road of hell, essentially. And my other grandmother, she said the same thing to me as a kid that she says to me now, today. So, I mean, she's like 86 years old. Guarantee if I get on the phone with her right now, at the very end of the phone call, she's going to tell me she loves me like 1,000 times. And then she's also going to tell me, watch your friends around you, baby. You got to watch your friends, and you got to make sure you have good people around you, and don't follow and do everything. I mean, like, she'll talk to me like I'm 16 again. She's like, you can't follow everything all your friends do, because when you get in trouble, you can't say it was your friend's fault. The cops ain't gonna care about that, baby. When you get in trouble, like, she'll do that same talk every single time. And even as a grown man, these are still good advice, right? Solid advice. And it's true. So there's a high price to pay for being free. There's a high price to pay for owning your health. You have to understand that when things go wrong, like whether it be you gain weight or you end up in the hospital for something that came from a lifestyle condition, the people who were a part of you, I don't know, smoking, or the people who were part of you drinking, the people who were part of those years of you, living life like YOLO and just living life any way you wanted to, and just eating and, the Twinkies and the donuts, the people who were part of being in that circle with you at that time, well, when you have to be told that you are now diabetic, you can't look back at those people and be like, yo, how y'all let me become diabetic? That's irrational. That doesn't make any sense. They didn't put a gun to your head. They didn't force you to do it. And they also will not partake in dealing with the side effects and the consequences of you being diabetic. If you chose to not work out, go home every day, sit on the couch, eat bonbons and Cheeto Puffs and watch football games and gain 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, and then you find yourself being 80 pounds heavier than what you were 5 years ago, and now when it comes time to try to get life insurance, the premium rates are extremely high. Well, you can't look back and blame people who were with you at that time, who might have been eating with you and enjoying those. Like, you can't, because why? Because you own your health. Like, you may not act and move like you own your health, but at the end of the day, you actually own your health. And so the repercussions and whatever comes along with your current health conditions, you have to accept the fact that you are the cause for it. You are the reason for it. Good or bad, whether you like it or you hate it, you are the reason for it. And so this is the true reality. And this is what people need to understand. And even when it comes to side effects from medications, and even when it comes to drugs, medications getting recalled by the FDA, even when it comes to, your doctor over medicating you, or giving you a medication that causes your arteries to stiffen, or giving you a medication that causes you to gain weight, or giving you a medication that actually makes you more insulin resistant, or giving you a medication that actually causes your blood pressure to go up. Like, all those things may be valid, but at the end of the day, it was your responsibility to do a little reading about what it means to be healthy. It was your responsibility to do a little reading about these medications that you're taking in your body. It was your responsibility to do a little reading about the long-term side effects of ingesting these chemicals in your body on a daily basis at the end of the day. And that is the truth, because while you may be going to these appointments and your medication dosages are increasing along with additional medications and a new appointment for another procedure, all these things are increasing. The doctor, nurse practitioner, PA, whoever are writing these things, you got to understand when they leave the clinic, they go home about their business in their body and deal with their health. You are the one who has to continue to live in your body. I'm saying all that to say this is that regardless if you want to own your health or you don't, the truth of the matter is that you actually own your health. You actually have to deal with the side effects. You have to deal with the consequences. You have to deal with the repercussions. It is all on you. Your healthcare system, your doctor, all those things, it's a facade. It's really a facade. You can't blame them for their lack of informing you about health. Yes, I understand you think that they're going to give you the true information as pertains to being healthy. I would question that because those days of healthcare are long gone. The days that you can walk into your local doctor and he's going to tell you about, what to eat and what to go get from the garden or what plants to grow and, how long to be in the sun. And those days are long gone. Now we are in the days of metric management. What type of pill can I prescribe to you to get your blood pressure down into a certain range? What type of medication can I give to you to make sure your blood sugar stays at this level? Or what kind of injection can I give to you to make sure your A1C comes down? Or what type of procedure might help you lose weight while not giving you any kind of basic fundamental principles about how to keep that weight off, and you ruining that procedure and having to get another procedure on top of that? This is what healthcare has become. It's become metric management. It's become ill, pill, and bill. What kind of ill do you have? Hold on real quick, y'all. Y'all hold on real quick. That. So this is something that I need you all to understand. And this is all coming from a place of love. We have to grasp the fact, well, actually you don't have to. You really don't have to. So once again, I'm both ends, right? Like, yes, I want you to be healthy. I want you to be able to live a long life of vitality. At the same time, it is your choice to not live a life of health and vitality. It is your choice to live a life of suffering, if that's what you want to do. I will fight for your right to do both ends. I will fight for your right to be healthy, have the information, the proper information, as well as fight for your right to do whatever you want to do with your body. So I'm really, truly across the board with this whole liberty thing, with this whole freedom thing. I'm seriously, when I say you own your body, you own your body. Once again, that argument about the vaccine stopping you from infecting others is not true. So we have to stop using that. So another thing to understand is that people who have self-esteem and a high sense of self-ownership has always been a problem for the system. Always. If you look back throughout time, the people who have caused the system the most problems are the people who have a high self-value of themselves, self-esteem, and ownership. Those folks traditionally have always kicked up the most dust. Why? Because those people traditionally, when they feel a sense of self-ownership, there's two things that we know for sure. One, we know that they are willing to fight for what they believe in, and they're also willing to die for what they believe in. They're willing to put it all on the line. And those people are extremely difficult to deal with because they literally have time and they're literally with the shits. Like, literally. Like, all right, that's what you want to do? Black flag? Let's go. Like, before we allow you to do that, we'll die. And so those folks traditionally, historically, have always been the worst. And so, once again, both ands, when it comes to self-ownership, in this whole conversation, people can be both and. You can have a high sense of self-ownership and still choose to get the vaccine because, once again, you made that decision for yourself. But then you have people who have a high sense of self-ownership and say, nah, we good. We're good. I looked at the numbers. I see that people want to debate, there's a 98%/99% of surviving this whole thing. I don't fall in the age group. I don't meet the risk factors. I'm not a smoker. I don't have a history of obesity. People go through and they rationalize and they say, you know what? Based on looking at the stats and the data that you told me to look at, I'm making the independent decision to forego the injection. And people have the right to do that. They have the God-given right to have ownership over their body and their health destiny and say that I'm going to forego that. So I'm not going to go into that part because that might be too personal. But people who are aggressively pushing this vaccine, not knowing people's health history, not knowing people's status and situation when it comes to their work and what they have to do, what do you say to the person who's a server and who gets the injection and they're having some issues with their arms after the injection, and they have to take off days when they don't have their system's not set up like that for them. Like they don't have the liberty to just be taking off days for this, or they have to deal with back pain for a while and they have no answers for why they're dealing with this. People who are aggressively pushing this, are you going to be there for them? Once again, no. The reality is that you made that decision. You now have to deal with the consequences of that decision, whether they be good or bad. And so let me also say this. I want you all to make your own decision. Like that's where I'm at with this whole entire thing. At no point am I for mandating something on you. I don't even want to go into the stats, but especially when we look at the survivability rates, especially when we look at and see that this thing is not just going through and just killing everyone. We're talking about 98% survivability rate is actually 98.6 or around that range, especially when we're talking about, when we see the demographics, the age groups, the comorbidities. And for you to look at that and tell people who are outside of all of those things that they still must get it or I'm going to fire you, I'm against that. I'm completely against that. Because once again, where's the rationale? Like, what is the rationale behind forcing something on people that won't stop infection or stop the spread? What is the point? What's the rationale behind that? People will then move the goalposts and say, well, then you have a less chance of being hospitalized. Oh, so it wasn't about me infecting you, because that's what you said before. You said it was about me infecting you and others. Now you're moving the goalposts and saying it's about me being hospitalized. Well, what are the chances that a young, healthy male who is athletic, who works out, who has no comorbidities, who fasts 90% of his life, like what are the chances that that person will actually end up in the hospital and die? Extremely rare. And what they'll do is they'll say, no, there's been cases of this and this and that. All right, well, show me those cases. Show me those cases. And then they show you the cases, and then you see the comorbidities, you see the issues, and you see the other things that are going on. So I'm not for mandates. I'm not for mandates. And, lose the argument about, causing harm to other people, because it's not true. It's not true. Even if you're vaccinated, you can still be infected and you can still pass on the virus, just like an unvaccinated person. Both infected, vaccinated, and unvaccinated have the same nasal swab viral load. Same. Also, the idea that you're not going to acknowledge natural immunity, that's suspect at best. That's extremely suspect. It's definitely not science-based. And, once again, I ask the question, do they even work? Because theoretically, if they work, the only people who should truly be afraid are those who don't have the vaccine. The people who should be empowered and fearless should be those who actually have the vaccine, if it works. So that again becomes that doesn't make sense to me. And once again, I haven't been given a good answer. Now, so somebody says something about something I want to touch on. Friday night. I'm just looking at all the things that are going on right now, all the things that are being suggested, all the things that are being mandated, and I'm sitting there and I have my 3 questions that need to be answered. We shouldn't go any further about, like people who are going into, the ingredients of the vaccine, people who are going into like the side effects of the vaccine, people who are going into like the more in-depth conversation of the vaccines. You got to understand that no, like those are room doors. Like those are room doors. You're telling people they have no right to go into the room and expect the door. They have no right to go into the door and expect the room. They have no right to go into that room. They have no right to go into that room. I'm saying you can't even come into the house. Like, no. Matter of fact, you can't even come on the property. Like, we're not even at the front door. We're all the way at the actual gate. Like, we're at the fence. You're not even coming on the property until you answer these questions. 1, natural immunity. Is it real or is it not? 2, if both vaccinated and unvaccinated can get it and spread it, what's the point of the mandates? And then 3, does it work? Because if it works, theoretically, you should be safe if you have it. And at this time, everybody who wanted it has already gotten it. And so they should be safe. So this idea that they should be afraid doesn't make any sense. So the conversations about the ingredients, the conversation about, boosters and the waning, all those conversations, those are like getting into the house. Those are conversations that happen when you sit to the table. Those are conversations that happen when you start going through different rooms. I'm saying you can't even come into the property until you answer those basic questions, because these are very good questions that no one is providing a logical answer to. And now, so since that just seems to be so basic, it makes me say to myself, obviously, I've been saying this to myself for a while, which is something else is going on. Like, this is more than just vaccines. But I've been saying this to myself multiple times. And Friday night, it was just screaming in my head. This is way more than just vaccines. Like, this is way more than just, public health. Like, this is way more than just, a pandemic. Like, this is about way more. There's no way in the world that you have these blatant issues out there that are not being answered and addressed. Like, so I showed you this video of this guy named Rand Paul, and he's just ragdolling Fauci as pertains to the whole lab leak. This guy, Rand Paul, is also going around ragdolling these people in these hearings as pertains to natural immunity. I don't know much about Rand Paul, but he's funny to me. When it comes to the whole vaccine and natural immunity thing, he's on point. I don't know much about him other than that. But when it comes to the whole, he's funny to me because he reminds me of this Southern belle sitting on the porch, fanning himself and just saying, well, my dear, I be, like he just reminds me of that because his swag is so, it's interesting. But nonetheless, he's just ragdolling these folks. And his arguments are very clear. He's extremely articulate, and it makes so much sense. But at the same time, when he's proposing these arguments and he's making these statements, nothing ever happens. These folks don't answer it. They don't rebuttal it. He was, I don't know where he was at. He was at some kind of hearing, and he was questioning this one lawyer who's been going around calling people who believe in natural immunity flat earthers. He was calling Rand Paul a flat earther. He was calling Jonathan Isaac, the basketball player, a flat earther because they're believing in this idea of natural immunity, something like that, right? And so then Rand Paul just goes on this rampage, pretty much saying that, you don't have the credentials, natural immunity is real. He talks about the the study from Israel. He talks about the waning effect of the vaccines. He talks about how the natural immunity is stronger than the vaccines. And so he's just going on. And at the end of it, he's asking the guy, he's like, do you want to apologize? And the guy's like, look, I'm only going off the current guidelines and X, Y, Z. And so he never answers it. Fauci doesn't answer the question about natural immunity. Nobody's answering the question about natural immunity. And so, I mean, this just has my spotty senses going off because I'm like, this is so obvious. It's so obvious that something else is going on. Let me tell you all a quick story, and then I'm going to make my overall point and get off. So I was in the military, and I remember, so I had a large group of friends, and I remember one day, it was my birthday, right? And I had this property, acres and acres of land. I lived in the house by myself. It was a huge house. It was just me and my dog, Nina. Shout out to Nina. She was a Doberman, extremely protective of me. And we had a lot of land, right? Behind the house, acres of land, but there was no lights. There was like one little light, but you could barely see. You could barely make out anything in the dark. I also had a shed right behind the house. So my birthday, right? Everybody came to the house. It was like tons of cars coming to the yard because we're about to go ride out and go down to the city. We'll go downtown to the club. And everybody's at the house, pre-game drinks, we getting lit and everything like that, right? And so time to go. So we're all like, it's like a whole freaking caravan. It's like multiple vehicles leaving the yard and we're heading down the road. I'm riding shotgun because, nobody wants to ride. You know what it is, if you know what it is. So I'm riding shotgun. We're going down the road. And less than a mile, my friend says, shit, I left my wallet. I'm like, you left your wallet? He's like, yeah, I left it on your counter. And I thought it was really strange. And so he was like, yo, we got to turn around. And so we turn around. We make the phone call. Everybody else turns around, right? But we're in the front. So we're heading back to the house. We're heading back to the house. We're getting real close to the house. There's nobody else in my house other than my dog, Nina. I see a light go off in my house. Now, we're pulling up. I see this light go off in my house. And I say to myself, there's only two reasons why the lights would go off. One, the electric company decided to turn my light off 10 o'clock at night, turn my power off. That didn't happen because the bills are paid. Two, somebody else is in my house, and that is a no-no. So as we're pulling up under the driveway, and he has his lights on, he quickly turns them off because there are people running in my backyard behind the shed. And I'm like, yo, did you see that? And he's like, see what? But I saw him seeing it with me and also the people in the back seat. And so I hop out the car. They all hop out the car. And I'm like, yo, there's people behind the garage. And he's like, yo, no. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I'm looking at them all. And everybody's looking at me. And they're acting extremely strange. This is one of the first times where I felt betrayed. But it didn't last long. I felt betrayed because I'm looking at them. And I know he saw it. And I know the people in the back seat saw it. And they're looking at me like we didn't see it. It was so obvious that there's people behind my garage in my yard. I mean, behind the woodshed, but the shed in my yard, that the only reason for them to act like there's nobody there is because they're a part of whatever's going on. And so I'm like, all right. I go around to the driver's side. I pop the trunk because I had a new toy in the trunk that I wanted to see. I wanted to work anyway. So I went to the trunk. I popped the trunk, pulled out the toy, the tool. And then that's when everybody's like, yo, no, wait. Yo, come out. And that's when they're like, come out. And so it's a surprise. It was a surprise party at the house. We weren't really going to the club. And me going to the trunk was about to ruin the whole entire night for everybody. And so I said that to say this. This whole thing that's going on is so obvious that something else is going on. That the fact that people aren't acknowledging the fact that something else is going on means that they're part of it. Once again, Rand Paul doing a great job as it pertains to articulating the problems. But at some point, like what's really going on? Like what's the solution? This isn't about vaccines anymore. I truly believe, I don't know exactly what it's about, but there's a political theory. My phone's about to die, y'all. There's a political theory, there's a political saying. I don't really know exactly what they call it, but it's called Overton window. Overton's window. Pretty much, this is a window that works on a spectrum of ideas, and some of these ideas are well accepted inside of the window, and then down the spectrum on both sides, the ideas get less accepted, and then they get radicalized in the extreme. And so this window moves, and the way that politicians have historically used this window is by suggesting something completely out the blue, completely extreme, and saying that, all right, well, this is what's going to happen, and everybody being up in roar saying like, nah, this is not going to happen, and people fighting to make sure it doesn't happen, and then they move the window back down the spectrum to something more acceptable, but really shouldn't be accepted at all. And then people, as long as it wasn't that extreme thing being put in place, they'll be more likely to be okay with the lesser of the two evils. And this is I believe that that's what's going on, because the whole mandates and everything like that is so extreme down here, forcing people to get this vaccine, regardless of their natural immunity status, regardless of everything. It's so all the way down on this spectrum that it doesn't make sense that they really think that this is going to happen. And so it makes me believe that they're only putting it all the way down here. You can't see my hand. They're only making the spectrum all the way down here just to bring it back. So you can be like, okay, so we'll take that. It's kind of like a bully saying, yo, by Friday, you better have me $1,000. I'm going to whoop your behind. And you're being like, $1,000? I can't get you $1,000. Yo, have $1,000 by Friday. I'm going to beat that. And you stressing out. Monday goes, you don't have $1,000. You barely got $5. Tuesday comes, you borrow money. All right, cool. You got $5. You got $10. Wednesday comes, the bully comes to you and say, hey, you got my money? Friday's coming. You better have my money. And you're saying, yo, look, there's no way in the world I can get you $1,000. And the bully's like, all right, how about this? We won't do $1,000. We'll do $10. Can you do that? And you're saying, yeah, definitely. I can do $10. Matter of fact, here's $10 right now. And the bully's like, all right, cool. Here's the problem with that. The bully should have, I'm not going to say his throat slit, but the bully should be neutralized. The negotiation with the bully is not on the table. You should not negotiate with terrorists. Like, you should not negotiate with a bully. That's the problem. And so the bully put the window all the way down here at $1,000. You were freaking out. You were like, yo, that is so irrational. That's extreme. There's no way in the world I can get this money. And then the bully brought it all the way back down to $10. And then you're like, all right, yo, we can do $10. But the point of the matter is the bully shouldn't be bullying you. You shouldn't be giving money to the bully at all. The bully should be neutralized. Like, there's no way in the world you should be just giving your money out to someone who didn't work for it. That's your money. That's your money. You decide what you do with your money. I hope y'all get what I'm talking about. So that's kind of how I think about Overton's window. And that's what I think about when I'm listening to all these things that are taking place. Like, everything from, you have college students who are enrolled in online classes, and because they're staying home to do their online school, but they're not vaccinated, they're being kicked out of class. There's something else going on. There's something else going on. Like, this is no longer about the vaccine. Now, I'm not really sure what it's about. But I think that we have to, I think, once again, I'm open to suggestions, because I definitely want to hear from you all about what else could be going on, because I believe that this mandate, because they're not even answering the basic questions, they're not even proposing a reason why these things make sense. I believe that window all the way down here of like just forced mandates is going to be brought down to something that's going to be, quote unquote, lesser of the two evils that we may be more likely to accept. And I'm not for that at all, because once again, you changing it from $1,000 to $10 is still not okay. This is my money. I work for my money. You just bullying me is still a problem. Matter of fact, why are we talking? So that was it. So that's why I'm not for mandates. All right. I operate off of self-ownership. I own my body. I believe you own your body. I believe you should make your decision and your choices for yourself, while understanding that you have to live with those decisions and choices, just like with everything else. In addition to that, you have to understand that if you choose to acknowledge the fact that you own your body and you own your health, also be okay with the reality that comes with you not doing anything to improve your health. You have to be okay with that. If you choose to drink soda all day long, you have to be okay with the diabetes that comes along with it, because soda and juice is diabetic fuel. If you choose to drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, eat Twinkies, pizza, wings, chicken, don't move, then you also have to be okay with the results that come from doing those things on a perpetual basis, which is lifestyle conditions. You need to understand that high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, obesity, insulin resistance, these are not things that just run through your vein, run through your blood, and you just get one day because you're getting older. These are things that we have to actually work towards achieving. Whether we like that truth or not, we actually have to work towards becoming obese. We have to actually work towards becoming hypertensive. We actually have to work towards becoming diabetic, because if you eat whole foods, natural foods, whether it be vegan or not, you're not going to become hypertensive. You're not going to become diabetic. You're not going to become obese. Why? Because these things have nutrients in it. They're whole foods. They have fiber in it. They have vitamins. They have minerals. They're actually adding value to your body by the fact that they haven't been stripped from the food. However, when you're eating processed foods, those things don't exist. The fiber doesn't exist, and whatever fiber you have in that thing is synthetic. The vitamins and minerals don't exist, and whatever vitamins and minerals you have in it are synthetic. And on top of that, it's actually going to rob those vitamin and minerals, because that processed food is going to break down in your body so fast that it's going to make your blood sugar go up, make your insulin go up, increase the inflammation, and your body's going to have to pull on those resources, those vitamins and minerals, to actually put things back to where they need to be. So, I say all this with love, but at the same time, you got to understand, if you choose to acknowledge the fact that your health is your responsibility, you have to also be okay with the results that comes from a life filled with eating processed foods, a life filled with no movement whatsoever. Now, if you don't want that reality, and you don't want that to be your story, this means, once again, you have to understand that being free has a high price to pay. There's a high cost to being free. It means you got to do the work. You actually have to work out. You actually have to go for a walk. You actually have to drink water. You actually have to get outside in the fresh air. You actually have to eat whole foods. Like, you actually have to do these things that are going to improve your health. Waking up every day and seeing what the newest vaccine pandemic drama going on will not get you there. It won't get you there. I guarantee it won't get you there. What's going to happen is Fauci's going to get you, because while you're sitting there vegging out on all the new crazy things that are going on, your health is declining because you're not doing anything to push back. And this is what I'm asking you all to do. I'm asking you all to push back aggressively. These folks are not being passive with you. They're being extremely aggressive about forcing their crazy ideas on you. And you can say you don't want it all you want, but a lot of us have already been forced to do these things. Where's your line? Where is the hill that you die on? Like, where do you put your black flag down in the dirt and say, don't advance any further because we're willing to die over this? Like, where is your line? So that's it, y'all. I'm going to go ahead and get off. I have like 3% left on my phone. It's about to die. Think about what I'm saying. That's why I'm not for the mandates. But also, this is more than just about the pandemic, the virus, the vaccines. It's way more than just that. I don't know exactly what, but it's more than just that. So I love you all. I appreciate you all being here. Please go ahead and share the video, like the video. Make sure people are thinking ahead, think advanced, because I think that this mandate thing is one of those like easy wins that they're willing to give to think so that we can think that we made some kind of progress. I think that's an easy win that's being tossed up so that like, all right, cool. You know how like the big brother does the little brother? Like, all right, bro, you won. You won. But at the same time, you didn't win. I think that's what this is. All right. So I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Remember, our community, our responsibility, we have what it takes. We gotta put in the work, all right? You gotta put in the work. And putting in the work is not you reading all these new articles about the mandates that's going on. Putting in the work is you actually getting up and exercising, getting up, eating whole foods, getting up, drinking water. All right, love y'all. Peace.